Hello and welcome back to the Unconventional Podcast. Today we have an amazing guest. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. So I'm Kierian, and I am the cult leader of Brand Cult, which is the UK's first business newspaper for branding, design, and marketing strategies for business owners and founders. Yeah.
Amazing. So, let's start at the beginning.
Yes.
So, in your early 20s, what was life like for you?
I actually, before my early 20s, I grew up in foster care. So I had a tough childhood. But then when I was 19, I actually fell pregnant with my daughter. And it was very sudden because I didn't know I was pregnant until 6 months. And it was a whirlwind. And obviously at 19 and at uni and holding down a job, it's kind of like the last thing that you think about happening. But I also felt in my gut that it was the right thing because I had grown up in foster care. I always felt like I never really had a family that loved me. And so I thought, well, she's going to be my family. It's just going to be me and her. I was a single mom as well. So I was like, this is my opportunity to have my own family.
That's amazing. And so, how did you juggle everything?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty tough. I remember I was going to school during the day, heavily pregnant, around all these students who were not pregnant. So it felt really weird. And then I was working at night, working at the weekends, any minute that I had, uni, you have like sort of breaks during the day and stuff like that. So just, yeah, just juggling everything. And plus, I was very sick during my pregnancy as well because I have a rare blood type and my daughter had a completely different blood type. And so my blood thought she was like a foreign object and
My
started like
goodness.
fighting off. That's why I didn't find out I was pregnant until 6 months because I took tons of pregnancy tests. They were all negative. And then it wasn't until I did a blood test that it came back. So then I had to be on special medication because I was super sick. My body trying to fight her off.
Oh my
Stressful.
goodness. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And so, after school, what did you want to do?
I trained in dentistry and I did loads of jobs here and there. And yeah, just trying to get by really with a newborn. It was tough. And then my whole life changed when I want to do some travel. And so I booked a solo trip by myself to New York City and I went off by myself and my mum looked after my daughter for me. That's when I walked into Times Square, saw a massive crowd, as you do in Times Square, there's loads of tourists. I pushed my way to the front to take pictures of whatever was happening. And it turns out there was a car bomb
Oh my goodness.
in a car in Times Square. And I was there taking pictures. And that's where I met my now ex-husband, but he was FBI agent and he was securing the area because of the bomb. It never detonated, it never went off. It was like neutralized or whatever. So
Mhm.
and then in the same trip, a volcano erupted in Iceland and
Oh
it
my
grounded
goodness.
all the flights. So then I got stranded there for a week and then this turned out to be like 4 weeks.
Mm.
But it meant that I had lots of time to spend with my new FBI agent friend.
So, how do you go from crime scene to dating an FBI
Yes,
agent?
because I pushed my way to the front and he was securing the area. He was like, stand back, ma'am. We're trying to create a distance here. And I was like, oh, what's going on? What's happening? And he just got chatting to me. And then I got his number. And because I said I was here by myself. And then he invited me to a Yankees game. And then we just, yeah, like hit it off.
How were those 4 weeks?
They were good. They were good. Everything was like a whirlwind romance. Lots of dating during those 4 weeks. And then I went back to Scotland. We kept in touch and he came to Scotland to visit me and I come up to the Highlands and we did all sorts of stuff. And then I went back to New York and that's where he proposed to me in front of the Rockefeller Center. Do you know the big tree at Christmas time? They have like ice sculptures all the way down to the tree and he proposed there. It was like all very romantic. And yeah, then I brought my daughter over to America and moved in. Do you think that this was a fairy tale wedding? I went to Kleinfeld's to get my wedding dress.
Mm.
That's where they film Say Yes to the Dress. And so as soon as they heard my voice, my accent, my story, FBI husband, they were like, we need you on the show. And I'm like, I'm sorry, he's not allowed to show his face on national television because his job
Yeah.
is to like track down people. So I couldn't do that. But we did have the whole expensive New York style wedding, $50,000 we spent on the wedding. And then 2 days before the wedding, another natural disaster, Hurricane Sandy hit New York and people had their houses swept away and there was boats on top of rooftops.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, the people that were working, like my baker who was making my wedding cake, didn't have electricity to bake the cake. So I ended up having a whole like polystyrene cake. All the levels were made out of polystyrene. And people who worked at the venue were then sleeping at the venue because they didn't have houses to go back to.
Oh my
So it almost
goodness.
didn't happen, but we managed to pull it off because people didn't have food and electricity. So they wanted to come to the wedding to get like a hot meal. And then whirlwind romance, big New York wedding. And then 6 months later, he went on a work trip, came back from the work trip and said, you know what? I think we're just better as friends.
How did
Yeah.
you feel?
I was gutted because I didn't know what I'd done wrong. Because you instantly look inward and you're like,
Yeah.
it's me. What did I do? I really hadn't done anything. I had been working as a psychiatric nurse and I had been taking care of my daughter. I had been taking care of the house. Like, we literally didn't have any problem. But it turned out it wasn't me. It was the fact that he had met someone on his work trip, another colleague, another FBI agent, a female who came from Boston. And I found that out when every weekend he started driving up to Boston from New York to visit her. And then my daughter was still getting invited to family events.
Mm.
And so one day she came back from one of these family events and she was like, oh, I met his new girlfriend. And she was like, it's okay. I slipped her a Twizzler. And I was like, what? You slipped her a Twizzler? And she was like, yeah, she's gluten intolerant. And I was like, great, murder. Okay. But then after that, it was really tough because when you go to America on a visa, you sign contracts and waivers to say that you're not going to get any help from the government.
Mm.
You're by yourself, basically. And I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any friends, no family. And we moved out of our big house and we were in a 1 bedroom basement apartment. And my daughter is still trying to live the American dream. She's at school with all these people, all these kids who have got iPhones and hoverboards. And I'm like, I was at that point working 5 jobs just to be able to pay the rent. It was super tough.
And so, how did you transition out of that?
So another crazy event happened to me. And so I actually think it was through my daughter's school. I won a scratch card
Mhm.
and I won something to go in and get a scratch card. So I never play the lottery. I never do scratch cards, but I went into like the newsagents, I scratched off the scratch card and I saw that I had won a lucky dip. So I was like, okay, give me a lucky dip and just give me whatever numbers. It was actually called a pick four. I got this pick four ticket and I ended up winning the lottery. This is wild. And it wasn't like jackpot, I wasn't like a major winner, but it was a good amount of money. I decided to take the one lump sum, which they tax you a lot on. They take a massive lump sum of tax from that, but it was still a good amount of money. I was able to buy myself a car, take my daughter on shopping sprees. Then I also paid my rent up for like 6 months in advance. And so life was good for a moment. And then I had a friend who I met in America. Our daughters were friends at school. And she said to me, I'm going to Hong Kong with my boyfriend who's studying there, and you should come and visit us for Christmas and New Year since you
Yeah.
don't have anybody, you don't have family or anything. I was like, absolutely, I've got some money now. Let's go.
And so, how did that trip change your perspective on where you wanted to maybe be?
I didn't expect much from the trip. I was just traveling, so I was looking forward to that. But then when I got to America, so she was teaching and she just showed me what life was like. And she said to me, you know, your degree is actually in English literature. You could really easily become a teacher and move over here. And everything's supposed to be that way. They fall into place really easily.
Yeah.
So that was the start. All I needed was a TEFL, which is teaching English as a foreign language certificate. And then so I went back to America. I packed up all my stuff. I got my TEFL and I was able to get a teaching job. I did the online interview and I got the job before I even moved there.
Oh my god,
And
that's amazing.
yeah, and they sponsored my visa, so and it was all very quick. And then also she lived in a 3 level, they call them village houses in Hong Kong, and someone had just moved out from beneath her and it was the same landlord. So she just reached out to the landlord and said, my friend's coming across, she's already got a job. Can she move into the apartment underneath us? And he was like, yeah. So like I had a house, I had a job, a really well-paying job compared to like what I was getting paid in America, really
Yeah.
well-paying job. And my daughter was then getting to go to school with her friend again. So it like really like all worked out.
They're, like, incredible.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, you started a business when you were teaching in Hong Kong.
Yes.
Do you wanna explain how you started that?
Yeah, so basically, I didn't plan to set up a business at all. I was just happy in my teaching job, 9 to 5, sort of teaching in a school. But then the parents started coming to me and they're like, oh, my kid needs more help with English. Will you tutor them after school? And I was like, yeah, no problem, because education in Hong Kong is so important to the parents and they will pay top dollar to make sure that their kid gets the best education. So an hour lesson teaching English to like a 3-year-old, they will pay 50 to £100 for an hour lesson. So then I started tutoring after school time and at the weekends. And then I started running out of time. I didn't have any more time to take on any more students. So I was like, you know what? I know a teacher, they'll teach your son, they'll teach your daughter. And I started sort of matchmaking teachers with other students. And I was like, wait, I'm just like giving away these like lesson fees. Maybe I can do something where I can hire the teacher and then I can be like sort of the middleman
Yeah.
and then I can match them with the students and then take a cut of the lesson price. And that also alleviates them trying to find students and the parents trying to find teachers. And it just blew up. It just became organically. I didn't have to market. I didn't have to reach out. I did have like a website and social media, but I never really had to grow it because I constantly had this flow because parents talk to other parents and they're like, oh, I know a tutor. I have a tutor. Let me put you in touch with this person. It just grew organically and so quickly.
That's incredible. So, how did you really scale the business? Because we talk a lot nowadays about like systems and processes.
Hmm.
Because if you want to take the next step from like 3 to 5,
Hmm.
you need to make sure that you're organized and got things going on. So, how did you scale that business?
So I was in Hong Kong for 7 years and I pretty much started tutoring business as soon as I got there. It was almost within that first year. So I had the business for 6 years. And for those 6 years, I didn't, like I said, do any marketing. It all grew organically from word of mouth. But right before I left Hong Kong, it was during COVID. And it was at that point that I was like, you know what, I do want to take this to the next level. And I started looking at putting my business on buses and outdoor signage and just really stepping it up. And like I said, that's when COVID was just starting because it happened in Hong Kong before it really came to the UK as well.
Yeah.
So we all got like put on leave from our teaching jobs. Schools weren't open at that time. And my daughter was now getting kind of close to GCSE age. She was in high school. And she said to me, Mum, can I go back to the UK and do my GCSEs? Because, like I said, Hong Kong education is tough.
Mm.
So where she was maybe just getting by in her education, when she comes back to the UK, she was 2 years ahead because they're just so smart over there. So I was like, okay, let's go back to the UK, and everything had went online.
Yeah.
So all the education was online, all the tutoring was done online. So I came back to the UK with my daughter so she could do her GCSEs. I was still running the business, but I wasn't able to scale it anymore. Scaling was the last of my problems. Like no one wanted to continue education online.
Yeah.
They wanted it in person, and I wasn't there to then interview teachers and meet new parents and stuff. So it wasn't growing. But I still have the business to this day, and I still teach online to some students. I think I'm going to be teaching them until they go to high school or university. They just won't leave me. So I still do have the company, but it doesn't grow anymore. And then I was doing that a couple days a week in London. And then on the side, I was substitute teaching in schools and I hated it. I'd wake up in the morning and be like, I don't want to go to school. I don't like the education system in the UK. I felt more like a babysitter than a teacher.
What do you think were the biggest differences between the education system here and in Hong Kong?
The kids in Hong Kong are just really disciplined. And because they've had that educational mindset from day one, like literally they're having tutoring at age 3. I had kids who were age 3 and reading like instructional manuals for DJI robots and
That's
stuff.
crazy.
3 years old. I couldn't believe it. They're just used to education. They're used to being in that position of having to learn. And I feel like kids over here are not. They go to school to have fun and play with their mates and have a laugh, and they don't have respect for their teachers most of the time. Really difficult to teach them.
Mm.
I would also come into school and just be given a list of like just issues like this kid needs a blanket, this kid needs a break every 5 minutes, this kid needs to hold their hand when they walk along the corridor. Like, and I just want to teach. I just want to teach people. So then I started soul searching and I was listening to podcasts. I was educating myself. I was just trying to figure out like what is my purpose in life because for a long time I thought it was education because I was really good at it. I was really good teacher. And I thought, this is it for me. And I did my master's. So I actually did my master's degree in education when I was in Hong Kong. So I thought that what I was supposed to be doing. But then I came across a book called Ikigai, and it's a Japanese philosophy that means finding one's purpose.
Mhm.
And they explain it really clearly, where they do a Venn diagram with three circles. And in each circle, you have what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. And whatever goes in the circle of the Venn diagram where they all meet together, that's supposed to be your purpose in life.
Yeah.
And so I kept thinking, okay, well, what am I good at? And someone had recently come to me and asked me to do flyers for them. For they were a teacher and they wanted to tutor. And I was like, yeah, sure, I can put that together for you. And at the time, I just had a Canva account. I did all of my graphic design, website design, social media design. Even as a teacher, you're making pitch decks, but they're like educational lessons for your students,
Mm.
but they're in the form of like a pitch deck. So slides, presentation, I did them all by myself for years, and people had always complimented me on my designs. And it was at that point that person came to me and said, "You're really good at graphic design. Have you ever thought about doing it as a career?" And I was like, "Oh no, I just like doing it on my Canva account and creating these things." And then I really thought about it and I was like, wait, my Venn diagram, I really enjoy doing it. I can be paid for it, and it's what the world needs. The world needs graphic designers. And
Yeah.
so it was at that moment that I was like, oh my God, this is for me. And then I started educating myself in the world of graphic design. I did all my Adobe certifications, and I just felt so like a weight had been lifted, like this is my path in life. And so if you know anything about angel numbers, when you see the number 1111, usually it's a sign that you're on the right path and you're doing the right thing. Like if you keep seeing it, then you're like, yep, this is for me. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I named my graphic design studio 1111 Graphics. And so I'm still teaching my students in Hong Kong, but now I'm like, I have this new business. And the reason I started the business was because I didn't have any experience. I haven't had any jobs in graphic design other than the experience of doing my own
Mm.
designs. So I knew that no one would hire me. I'm almost 40 years old. I can't get a junior designer role. I can't get an internship. And I did apply for them, but I couldn't get them. So I was like, I'll be my own boss. I'll do it my own way.
I love that. And where do you think your resilience and determination comes from? Because obviously you've had some amazing things happen, but also faced a lot of adversity.
Mm.
And so to keep making businesses when things don't go to plan, it takes a lot of resilience.
If you
HMRC are introducing a new initiative called Making Tax Digital, and this may affect you. But Making Tax Digital is simple with Sage. From April 2026, if you earn more than £50,000 from your self-employment or from being a landlord, you'll need to use Making Tax Digital compatible software to do the following. Keep digital records, submit a summary of your income and expenses on a quarterly basis, and finalize your business income and expenses at the end of the year. With Sage's software for the self-employed, you can activate MTD income tax self-assessment return functionality to ensure you're ready and compliant for the future.
want something, you have to get it yourself. You have to do it yourself, and you just need to get through the hard times. I've had a lot of bad stuff happen to me. I guess it wasn't until in Hong Kong there was a moment actually where I lost two really good friends. They didn't die, they just parted ways. They just left me, they blocked me, and nothing had happened. And I was like, why did they block me? Like, they were such good friends, my really good friends. And it made me look inwards at that point and figure out, is it me? That's when I started listening to all the podcasts and self-help books and really tried to learn about myself. And positivity is what gives me resilience. You know, being positive and knowing that everything happens for a reason, even the bad stuff, they're learning moments. You have to view them as like, I've learned something from that now, and keep going.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just all these life experience like built up, making me more resilient, I guess.
And so 1111 Graphics, you started from scratch
hmm
all over again.
hmm
And I don't think what's talked about enough is that beginning part as a founder when you start, what you actually meant to do. You go, okay, I've got a business name and I know what I want to do.
hmm
How do you go from 0 to 1?
Yeah, I mean, that was really difficult for me in particular because I'd had my first business that grew so organically and without any effort at all. And then starting a second business with that in mind, thinking, oh, yeah, no problem. I can get loads of clients, like, and crickets. For like the first couple of months, no one knew who I was. I didn't have any work to show, like actual graphic design. I didn't know how to put myself out there to show people, like, this is who I am, this is what I do. So I came across networking events and I was like, okay, I'll go and meet people. And as you can tell, I'm very talkative. I have ADHD, so I talk a lot. And so it was kind of the perfect environment for me to go in and just chat to everyone. And I really enjoyed it. And then I started making clients, they wanted to work with me. It was very slow though, like you'd have to go to like 1 to 4 networking events a week to just meet maybe one client.
Yeah.
So it was very, very slow, but it was the right speed for me. And I actually interviewed someone for my newspaper, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute. I was interviewing them and they said the same thing. Like, sometimes it's not good to go viral because you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
And you have to go slow in the beginning because you're getting to know the ropes of business and how things work. So it was the right speed for me to move slowly and just learn how to, like I said, put myself out there, do social media, and get to level up bit by bit.
And I think that's really important because I think we see so much on TikTok, like how to go viral instantly or
Mm.
how to grow to 5 figures in a month. And
Mm-hmm.
that's amazing. But
Mm.
you're right. Sometimes you do need to take things step by step, especially if it's your first time running a business
Yeah,
and you're just by yourself, because there's
absolutely.
so many things that you come across. And if you do go viral and you get lots of orders or lots of interest, then you can start to see the cracks within your own business.
Yeah,
That is amazing, but you maybe should have had time to refine it a bit more.
absolutely.
And so let's move on to the newspaper.
My baby.
I know. So tell me how you started it and tell everyone what it is, and then we'll do a nice little reveal.
So this follows on nicely from what I was saying about networking. So I was going to these networking events, and at networking events you pass on your business card, and I actually had this thing on my website, my graphic design website, saying that I'll roast your business card, your logo on your business card. And I was telling one of these people that I met at the networking event, and she was like, "Yeah, roast mine, roast mine." And I was like, okay. So I like roasting her business card on the spot. And it was at that moment that I realized I'm only one person. And even if I was to grow bigger and bigger and bigger and scale my graphic design studio, I can only help a couple of people every month, 1 to 5 people maybe. And I wanted to help more. And I love the idea of a community. And so then I was thinking, okay, how can I give them the skills? Because in that moment, I was telling her, okay, this is what you want to do with your logo. She was a massage therapist. And of course, she had hands in her logo. And that's one thing about logos is you don't need to show a picture what you do in your business. It's the quickest way to blanding is a term in
What does that
graphic.
mean?
It means it's branding, but it's bland.
I love that.
Yeah, you're going to be doing some blanding if you just choose what your business does. I was thinking to myself, how can I give them the skills to do graphic design and branding themselves? And I was like, maybe I could do an online newsletter and every week give them some tips and tricks. Or maybe I could start a community, like an online directory. They've got a lot of big business female founder communities online. But I was like, but they already have it. Like, why would they want to come to mine when they have this one and this one and this one? So I'm like, what can I do? And then it wasn't until one night I'd spent all day online on my computer and I was getting Substack emails and newsletters. And I was like, I don't want to eat my dinner and then have to come back to my computer and log back on again just to read some blogs and articles and online magazines. And that's when I realized that I want something tangible. And I don't know how I decided on newspaper, but I did work for newspapers when I was 18. It was one of my very first jobs, but it was in the advertising department, so it wasn't very exciting. Also, always wanted to be a writer. I love writing, and I have a book that I've been writing for about 10 years that I don't know if I'll ever get to finish. A newspaper means that I can use my graphic design skills, I can design it beautifully, I can write in it, and I also get to interview people because I know it's not all about me and I want those expert opinions.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is amazing. I'm going to start a newspaper. And I started reaching out to people, industry experts and businesses that I was interested in and that I wanted to get their story. And so for the very first issue in June this year, I interviewed Lucy McLeod from Hair Syrup, and I'd been following along on her journey on TikTok. Her story is amazing as well. During COVID, she developed a hair oil just in her parents' conservatory. She posted it to her 3 followers on TikTok and just very authentically, like, look what I made, look at the results, it's so good, right? And she went absolutely viral and she grew exponentially and she couldn't handle it. So she ended up on Dragon's Den, and they basically said they gave her her a crappy offer. She didn't take it, but they were like, we don't really want to invest in another TikTok trend, another TikTok business. And she was like, fine. But what she had done was she had built this cult following on TikTok where every one of her followers were like her ride or dies. They would do anything for her. And what she does is just a hair oil really like piqued my curiosity. And I really wanted to interview and get her story. But then after she was rejected on Dragon's Den, her ride or dies basically rallied around her, and she's now estimated to make something like 8.6 million next year, and she's getting stocked in boots, and she's just doing amazing. And I wanted to figure out what's this obsession, like how to build a cult following. So I started my newspaper. I called it Brand Cult to help other businesses build their own cult brands and their own cult followings.
Amazing. And so obviously the $1 million question is, how do you build a cult following?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love being asked this question. The secret to a cult following is community, and it's engaging in your community and making sure that community is strong. You take an interest in the people that take an interest in you, and cultivating it. That's basically it. And so far, we're on our second issue of Brand Cult, and every single expert or business owner that I've interviewed who all have cult followings. So the July issue, I'm interviewing James Martin, who's a graphic designer and has a cult following of over 1 million followers across all of his platforms. He said the exact same thing. It's authenticity and engaging with your community that has built such a strong foundation and such a strong cult following. And Lucy said the same thing, engaging with her community, asking their opinion. What do you think of this rebrand? What do you think of these scents? And, including them and listening to their feedback is what has built it so strong.
That's so incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing. Shall we open it?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
I'm
I'm so excited. So, Brand Cult is a whole experience, and it's not just about the newspaper, but it's about being able to open it. So,
I know that's what I loved about the first issue when it came through, because it's like so rare now that you get to. Oh, do you want to show the camera the wax that you've been working on?
So yeah, so it's sealed with a wax stamp here. So readers or cult members, they break the wax seal. And actually, no one knows this yet, but I'm actually talking to a bespoke perfumery to get a bespoke brand cult scent so that you'll have all the experiential experience when you open it. It won't just be the tactile of breaking open the wax seal, but you'll smell brand cult straight away. So maybe there'll be some samples in there as well when it's created.
Oh my god, I love that. I'm so scared to break it now.
No, go for it. Just, rip open like Christmas
Yeah, I know.
every month.
I was about to say.
But this is what most people are really excited about, to have something tangible all in one place.
So is this your logo?
Yeah, this is just our logo mark, which is the brand cult. Get some stickers with it.
Oh my god, it's like a proper newspaper. So this is the front. Do you want to walk them through?
It's all about rebranding your mindset. So this whole entire issue is everything to do with mindset. And it says here, rebrand your mindset, redesign your reality. Because basically that's what you're doing as a founder and a business owner. You are creating your reality. And it's all to do with your thoughts, and it's all to do with your mindset. If you take anything away from this interview, you can come from nothing, a foster child with nothing, literally not even a family to love for them, and you can build a media empire. You can literally do anything that you want. You just have to have the right mindset. Front page is basically, it's a representation of my brain, everything happening. You can flip through it actually if you want.
Bro.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so many dogs.
Yeah, first page. I wanted to give everyone a dopamine hit, and I was like, what's the biggest dopamine hit I can give these cult readers? And I was like, dogs and cats and pets. And some of these pets are actually cult members, their own pets. So, like I said, building your community, engaging with your community, your readers. I went out there and asked my readers, do you have a pet? Can I have their photo? I want to,
That's so fun.
showcase them. Yeah, this is James Martin's spread all about mindset. He has some absolute gems, some nuggets. He's just like my icon. Like, to be able to interview him was just like a highlight of my life so far.
Oh my god, I love that.
Yeah.
And so who's been your favourite person to interview so far?
I should say James, but he was the most nerve-wracking of people to interview. Just because, when you put someone on a pedestal and you're like idolizing them, and I know I shouldn't because he's just a guy and he's like the most down-to-earth, coolest guy. But I just wanted to say the right thing and, give the right impression and for him to be proud of me and what I'm doing. I thanked thanked him today. I text him and I was like, "Yeah, thank you for everything." And he was like, "No, thank you." And I was like,
And
"Oh,
you're like,
thanking me."
stop it. And this is the business astrology page.
Yeah, so this is a new edition. So every month, Brand Cult just keeps getting better and better. And this month we added business astrology. So basically, you figure out what your birth chart is for your business. So when was your business conceived? When did you have that idea that I'm going to start this business on this day? Then you figure out what their are they is your business Aries, Taurus, Sagittarius, and then you can read their business astrology. Do you want to read yours?
Yeah, so it will be Cancer. Like
Okay,
my birth's genuinely 2 years ago today, I handed in my letter of resignation at my corporate
amazing.
job,
Oh my
which
God.
is terrifying. Here we are. Your intuition is gold plated right now, but so is your tendency to over nurture dead leads. August is about pruning, set up automated re engagement flow, or unsubscribe without guilt. Love that. Bonus, your branding, fresh ideas, legit. Start that mood board now, especially with Venus flirting in your creative zone.
Oh, there you go.
I know, love
And
that.
do you feel like you do that? Do you like nurture dead leads, like people, that you think you're going to work with, but they're just maybe not that interested or
I always follow up with everyone.
Mhm.
And then we have a internal CRM tracker. So if they haven't replied, I'll make my executive assistant follow up again,
Again.
again, and again. But
Mm.
that's amazing. The last question is, what is a piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
No, that's a really good question. I have to be a bit selfish with this because it's not business related, but as a younger person who felt like unloved and kind of useless and felt like I was never going to achieve anything, I would tell them that you can do anything. You literally do anything that you want. You just need to put your mind to it and take aligned action. And I'm a big believer in manifestation. So I would tell them, go for it. Your world's your oyster. And also, one last thing is experience. Make sure you get all the experiences. And I don't mean just like work experience or getting 10 years under your belt doing a certain skill. I mean like going out there, try swimming with sharks, try every skill that you can imagine, try every hobby you can imagine, because it's those experiences that build your character and lead you to being the person that you are.
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.